Hello and welcome. So we have the Embracer group here, talking about increasing game prices beyond $70. Pretty sure a lot of people already kind of sort of know about the story, but who knows? Maybe somebody might want to, kind of hear my thoughts about it. Anywho, he talks about it being a brutal, competitive market. The CEO, why they want to raise the price beyond $70. And then they talk about how they had to shut off multiple studios and sell off subsidiaries in the financial year and yada yada yada. But then one of the funnier parts of this right here is when they say, but the reality is no one has tried it. If you create an enormous role playing game, for example, with 100 to 150 hours of gameplay, very polished and a unique experience, would the customer be willing to pay more? If they would be, they would have more products potentially coming to market, but no one has tried it. If something we have, it's something we have been discussing, but we are currently sticking to the practice of the industry. It would be that one company one day who tries to increase pricing. That remains to be seen. Um, and this is the problem I have with modern gaming, although people will talk about inflation and about, how games of back in the day used to be 70 then and it's probably worth over 150 or whatever it is. Sure, that may be true, but at the end of the day, it was it was within that time, dude. It wasn't just like the prices didn't just increase like tenfold all the time. And another thing people don't seem to mention is the fact that although the prices were high, you could at least say that some of them, not all of them, but some of them you can argue for. I remember the first Fantasy Star. I wasn't really around when that game first came out, but I do remember it was one of the highest forms of, like in terms of memory that was needed because of that game on the Master System or whatever it was on. I mean, it's a justifiable reason for it to be more expensive. I get that you don't see, that it's as valuable as games are today. But the problem is that we keep letting these people nickel and dime us. Games of today aren't complete. Games of today require patches, which one day will not be available. Games you have to wait almost 2 years for it to actually be what they intended it for. Cyberpunk. Since 2020, now 2024, whatever it is, now the game is what people kind of wanted. And with that being said, they want to increase prices, but they give you less of what you used to have. Pay $70, you have microtransactions. With games you paid for back then, you didn't have to really worry about that. It's not really trying to do a debate about microtransactions or not. It's just the fact that I paid 70 back then. When I paid 70 back then, I got whatever it was. Now I pay $70 and I don't get everything on the disc. I don't get everything that feels like a $70 purchase. A lot of the games for me that I personally buy that are new, which are very few, a lot of the games I see don't feel like a $70 worthy purchase. Like, and then not to mention with this potential increase from $70 on up, for me personally, it's going to make me want to get out of gaming for real. Because there's only so much that you can keep on charging. Although we have Game Pass and to a smaller degree PlayStation Plus with subscription based stuff, and that's fine. But as far as purchasing a game, it might be hard, at least for me, to really get that. I feel much better spending $70 on an older game than I do a newer game. And just, I don't know, games today just aren't really as cool as they used to be way back when. Not to mention, you can argue, dumb down, things and stuff like that. But just period, they don't give you, it doesn't seem like they give you as much as they used to give you. And I think for me, and maybe for older gamers, that's really the problem. Is that you don't feel like they give you $70 worth of things Very few games people could say, hey, I spent $70 for, and I really feel like it was worth that price. I mean, hell, look at Jedi Survivor. That was $70. They told us that $70, the reason why they increased the extra $10 was to make, because of development cost and to make the games more or less better. We give them the extra $10 and we have stuff like that Golem Lord of the Rings game. We have the Jedi Survivor game. We have, I guess, Forspoken in one way or not. We have a lot of games that aren't worthy of the $70 purchase. And not to mention, it's technically not $70. When you really look into it, you're paying probably $5 in taxes. So it's $75 than I'm paying for. I've gotten more enjoyment out of Mario 64 than I have of a lot of new games that I have. Like, if it wasn't for Game Pass, I probably wouldn't be playing a lot of like newer things. So that's all I wanted to do, just put in my couple of cents or whatever. It is ridiculous. It's very much ridiculous of how game companies want to nickel and dime us and how they don't really give a damn. And not to mention the fact that they talk about raising the prices for development costs. But when you look at these companies and they talk about they make this profit and this and this and this, it's like, damn, well, what the hell, dude? You're telling me to pay more, but you're good. You're doing fine. Like, you don't have to worry about it's not like you're really losing money. I mean, just from the outside looking in. Maybe there are cases with smaller companies. Maybe there are cases with different kind of companies or whatever, but it becomes just more frustrating having to really like go through this stupid stuff or whatever, or just see the stuff in the gaming world, dude. Gaming is more accessible to a lot of people now. And whole time, gaming is more accessible, thus you will get more money. Even if you didn't price it at 70, you would get more money. Because a lot more people play games. You got, 30 billion people that play PC games? And then you have, what you have on the console side. Like, I just don't really get it, man. I really don't. And their examples are the reason why they need to increase the price. Again, it is not justified. It's not justified enough because when I've spent, as opposed to a $60 game, Breath of the Wild, and I spend $70 for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I don't really see more quality in the game. Like, hey, this is the reason why, I paid the $10 extra, man. Like, I'm just going to wait for sales. And I would definitely say that right there for, everybody else too. One of the great things about this console, this gaming generation period, is that sales really happen often. But still, though, man, a lot of games ain't worth $70. And I'm pretty sure a lot of games coming out right now in the works ain't worth $70 either. Not to mention these companies will not patch anything, or you have to wait for a patch in the event that a game does not come out even playable. If you pay $70, you're supposed to get something complete. You're not supposed to wait for it to be fixed. And really, I say this a lot, is that gaming is the worst medium, dude. When you really sit there and think about it, we get screwed over as gamers. We get screwed over if we go back in time to the 7th gen with the locked on DLC on disc. We get screwed over when it comes to a $10 pass. I know that's old, but still, we get screwed over when we have to pay money to play online. We get screwed with cloud saves. Like, we get screwed with a lot of things that should be free, that's free on the PC, that is possible. Like, a lot of these servers are on like the EA side and the other game company side. PlayStation, Xbox, they don't control that, dude. So why are we spending money to do something that should kind of be either free? PS3 had it free. Can't nobody, what's really the difference from the PSN with PS3 as opposed to PS4, PS5. I mean, if it is a difference, I'm pretty sure that would have happened either way if it was free. I mean, it's just, I don't understand it. And it just supports my argument, at least to me, that gaming isn't really, we get nickel and dime too much, man. If you bought a game this year, if you bought, what was it, Godfall or whatever it was, or Babylon's Fall, that game barely lasted. If you bought what's the other game? The game for the Microsoft or whatever, the developers are now, they're no longer there. The vampire game, I forgot off the top of my head, but either way, with that, it has not lasted as long as you paid. People would pay 70, whether or not it was Game Pass or not. People either pay 70 or they pay $15 for maybe a couple of months. Either way, it's about what's promised, man. And that's what the issue is that a lot of these game companies don't follow through with their promises, man. They don't follow through with their promises. And they just tell you sorry. They don't give you anything for it. They don't give you no money back. They don't do any of that. They promise to support or to do this right here, or you pay $70 in the hopes that this game will be supported for a long time. Maybe not for the rest of your life, but for a long time nonetheless. And this is what we do. No more than a year. What was that? Redfall. No more than a year? And it's already basically done. They just talked about the whole no updates or whatever, or if it is, it's minor updates, dude. You spend $70 on it. Wouldn't you want more out of your $70? This is the extra $10 they asked for. They asked for the extra $10, and because it didn't get the sales that they wanted, they basically said screw everybody else. Screw the people that actually liked it. Like, there's some people that like certain kind of games that everybody else doesn't like, but at the very least, respect them. They spent $70 of their hard-earned money, and you just end it. And maybe that's within that little EULA that we have to press X to, even on offline games, to play a game. Like, that's another thing that's an issue. I guess this is more so turning to right now. But that's another issue with the gaming industry, man. Another issue with the gaming industry is the fact that we have to read an EULA to fucking play a game. What are we doing? If my kid wants to play a game, I have to get past the little part that you agree to for them to play the game. Dude, gaming shouldn't be this complicated, man. And I'm pretty sure people can justify it, but at the end of the day, dude, it's a game, man. I play a game to turn my mind off when it comes to me in terms of reading on that type of level and trying to understand what it is I'm like signing up for, dude. And it's absolutely ridiculous, man. Why is gaming so much like extra steps, dude? Your gaming consoles, most of the time you can't use the crap if you ain't signed up online or whatever it is. The PS5 Slim, you need to register the damn disk drive. The disk drive that's installed on the damn system, dude, that you paid $550 for now? Come on, man. And this is probably why, like, the older gamers and shit say that even if the games weren't better, the fact that it's literally plug and play now. With the older games, it's plug and play. Doesn't matter whether or not they're in terms better or you agree that they're better. At the very least, it did what a console was really designed to do back in the day. Or period, what a console was designed to do before, well, you can argue PS4. Consoles were designed to be simple. And the problem is that consoles, in a way, are now complicated. Consoles where a child opens up the gift of whatever it is that they get, and they can put the game in. And they don't have to worry about asking mom or dad how to use anything. Now consoles are, hey, you got to make an online account. I get it, but just in terms of just stating why gaming is complicated now. Like, you got to make a Epic account to play Fortnite. Like, it's not just simple anymore, dude. And I mean, it works, I guess, for the people that grew up in this newer era. But just if my kid were to come to me After I got them a new system that's like 500 something bucks. And it's like, oh, hey, man, we got to go through all the steps. The next thing you know, it takes 5 to 10 minutes to get it set up. Not to mention when you insert a game disc, most likely there is an update. And it's not just a small update. It's a big update. So it's just really ridiculous, man. And I get that machines are more complicated now. We got more, processors and this and that. But goddamn, dude, come on, man. We had it way simpler way back then. And that's probably why Bama's always say that it was the golden age of back then. I agree to a certain degree, but it's just today, dude. Today with these games, dude, we don't see the passion like Bama's had back then. Like people had back in the day. You see it with some games, but you don't see it with all the games, dude. You don't see it with a decent amount of the games. It's really ridiculous how it is today, man. And this is why gaming is the worst medium to me. It's a great medium. It's fun. But as far as the worst medium, I only mean in terms of a financial perspective. You pay all this money for a system, not to mention even from now. Like it used to be that when the next iteration of a console came out, the PS4 Slim, the PS3 Slim, Xbox One, Xbox One X, all this stuff. When they came out, or the Xbox One S, when they came out with the newer iteration that was, more sleeker, more efficient, X, Y, and Z, it was cheaper. This is the first generation we have that the newer, at least the newer model for the PS5 is more expensive. Can't nobody justify to me, personally, why it's more expensive. You don't get the 1 terabyte, you get 825 gigabytes. You get that right there, and then not to mention, you have to activate a piece of hardware that is attached to your system, dude. It's attached to your system. It's no different than owning a PC and having a disk drive in there, dude. It's ridiculous that you have to connect. My friend has a PS5 Slim, and he could not use the disk drive until he connected to the internet. What happens if you're in an area that does not have great internet? Not everybody has great internet. And just period, dude. There will be one day when those things aren't supported. Like, what happens then? What happens to the collector that says, hey, man, I've been holding this PS5 Slim for a very long time, and now I want to take it out to play. What happens then? Because they can't do nothing with it. Which is why I got the older one, because at least that's not a problem with that one. But, it's just, I don't get it, man. And you got these game companies talking about how they're not making much money and this and that or whatever. And not too long ago, it was people making record profits. How do you bring more people into the newer generation when you don't give them an introductory price? The only one is really Xbox and the Switch. Switch has a $200 model. They have a $300 model. Xbox has a $300 model. They have a $500 model, even though it still sucks that they have not reduced the price. And I think it's $350 now for the Series S. But it's just, come on, man. It was simple for a console, man. And this stuff just adds to just the extra stuff. You already want the $70 for the games, and you won't even nudge on a price drop for your system. It's not really the days of not really making too much of a profit off of a system, and you still get most of your money off of software sales anyway. If anything, both companies, and even a Switch now at this point, being as late as it is into its life cycle, should reduce the daggone price so more people can come in. If the PS5, if PlayStation has an issue with the 49 whatever percent of people who are on PS4 that haven't moved over, I think it's 2 reasons. One, you haven't reduced the price of your current system. Maybe 3. You haven't reduced the price of your current system. Your current system's been out for 4 years. By now, any other time, consoles would have been reduced. They would have been reduced because, parts become cheaper to make. There's no way that you're telling me that all those parts that are made to use, that are used in the newer systems, aren't cheaper now. If you buy it in bulk, over time, like technology gets cheaper. And you're telling me that they're essentially telling us that that's not possible. Not to mention, you also don't have any games that really push and show you why you paid $550. The only game I can see that really showed me like the next gen, which is really sad because people still use the term at times next gen. The only thing, in my opinion, that showed me that was the Hellblade 2 game. And I played that on the Series S. It looks awesome. Well, the game was okay to me, but it looks awesome. And you need something like that. It's not always about graphics, but you got to have something, dude. You got to have something to pull people in. You got to have something to say, hey, yeah, this isn't possible on this current system that I have. Let me move over. And you don't have that with the stuff today. Game development takes too long. We're waiting, over 10 plus years for the new Elder Scrolls game? It doesn't matter to me whether or not they made Starfield or not. It is the point. You waited over 10 something years for this game. The bammers that played it, the people that played it that was like 10, 15, are into their mid 20s now. It comes to the point that I count how many Elder Scrolls I'm going to have until basically I die. We might not even be at the Elder Scrolls 7 until I basically pass. It might be a reason why they take so long, but this is the issue of why I think people don't want to really upgrade. You don't have stuff that's exclusive to the console. You barely have exclusives. With Sony, it was their bread and butter, exclusives, in terms of at least something to draw you in. Third party after that, cool. But now, you don't really have that. When was the Last of Us game for real? I mean, they had the remake, but where's 3 at? Or where's the new Naughty Dog game at? Where's the new Ghost of Tsushima at? Where's it's been 4 years. And it takes too long to just see the games that you like in terms of the next iteration, man. It takes way too long. And that's really the biggest problem. And I think that's what people, there's no actual reason right now to upgrade your system. Unless you want 60 frames on the older game, sure. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get the system. If you find reasons that, like it or whatever, cool. You find that it justifies the price, that's up to you. But for me, and I do think for other people, I do think it's that if you had something, if you had a new God of War that was on just the PS5, if you had a new Halo that was just, I don't know what their rate is. I'm pretty sure it's much lower than 49%, but still, if you had a new Halo that at least did something that made you say, hey, that's the reason why I got the console. It is really sad that we're 4 years, I've never seen this before, that you're 4 years into a console cycle, which is technically within the middle. Back in the day, we would have had a whole new console almost coming up by now. Typical console span used to be 5 years. Now it's like, 7-10 years at this point. But we still don't have anything that really feels next gen. And until that happens, I don't really think sales are really going to mean too much. I don't think, people are going to really adopt at the rate that they want. You can find deals for PS5s and Xbox, Series S's and X's, but you have to do extra groundwork to get that. And you need something to show, to show the power of the system. And now to me, Xbox at least has Hellblade 2. It might not be a long game. It might not be the best game. It might not be game of the year X, Y, and Z, but it does at least one thing right, and that is push the graphics at least. I'm not a big graphics person, but if you want to push people over, you have to show them something that's different. Back when you had the NES, the SNES, to the 64, to the PS1, you were able to see a difference. And that's the thing. When people see the difference and see that their box cannot run what it is that this can run, you're always going to have people that decide to stay on that system. And nothing really is going to change. You can force people to not make, games for it and third parties and stuff, but it still isn't going to happen the way it used to naturally happen. I mean, we're getting to the point now with graphics that graphics don't really matter. And maybe then with the PS5 Pro, when they push the RT and all that stuff right there, the ray tracing, maybe then it might be a bit different. But just as of now, we're not even at that point. And not to mention the PS5 Pro does not increase it doesn't fix the CPU. And if it doesn't fix the CPU, the games that you will have to see are only in the graphical intensive games. Which means just like the PS4 Pro, they gimped the system. I would have had it there. You gave me a graphics card that was a decent amount better. Doesn't have to be to the degree that they're talking about now, but a decent amount better, and you gave me a more decent CPU. I would take that right now over just a graphics card going up. Because as the console generation goes on, more games are going to want to use more CPU. And no matter what you do, you're not getting any better performance, at least in the CPU intensive things. And it's almost to the point of, why did I get a PS5 Pro except for certain games? These are games you care about, cool. Go ahead and buy it. But if you want the most out of your investment, because other people won't say consoles are an investment, but it is an investment. A console is an investment because it's what you believe that is going to come to the game. You bought a PS5 thinking that, hey, I'm going to get a God of War game. I'm going to get a good Sucker Punch game. I'm going to get a good Insomniac game. I'm going to get something that requires this system. So other people say it's not an investment, but it is an investment because you're investing your money into something in a way that you don't really know what's going to come out in that system for real. You know some of the games, but you don't know all the games that will come out. So that's why, in my opinion, it's an investment too. Well, if you stayed in through this whole video, thanks for listening. Even if you listened to half of it, even though I guess you wouldn't be here, but still, just thanks very much. I really appreciate just being able to say this stuff right here. I say this stuff to my girlfriend a lot, and she ain't into gaming. So I figured why not just do it here. Have a nice one.